Done well, boys. But your work is far from over. This will be your next undertaking.
Yes. Owen. Rogers. Yes. Owen. Rogers. Yes. Owen. Rogers. Yes.
We're back.
I've seen things, Jett.
What have you seen, my friend?
Trolls 2.
Welcome back to another special Halloween episode of Jett and Ollie Watch a Bad Movie.
Today we're feeling...
Look at this witch I got here. Oh.
We're feeling especially festive today. We were deciding we needed to sort of finalize our setup. So, I brought some of my goods out and we added some Halloween cheer to it. And I think it's looking... I think that Jett and Ollie Watch a Bad Movie is finally peak and is, no cap, the greatest thing I've ever watched. And...
Bussing.
What does that mean?
So we watched a little movie called Troll 2. Now we've both seen this movie before, but Oliver, would you care to explain the premise of Troll 2?
I would be beyond honored to explain the premise of Troll 2. So yeah, essentially what he said, we had seen it before prior to this viewing today. We have a history with it, we have inside jokes based off of it. There are just some fantastic moments in this film. And we are, just eternally grateful that he selected it for us. And so, let me actually get into the plot. So, we essentially start off similar to The Princess Bride, if you've ever seen that. So, this kid's grandpa is reading him a storybook about goblins, sort of setting up the main villainous entity in the film. And all of a sudden we learn that the child is schizophrenic and the grandpa does not exist.
What are you doing still up, Josh?
Grandpa Seth was telling me to stop.
In one of the funniest cutbacks and worst acted moments, and this is just within the first 30 seconds of the movie, so we already know we're in for a treat. And there's this crazy low effort chase scene that happens early on with some crazy double take tripping shot, and it's immaculate. And once again, there's so much to talk about here. It's like within every minute there's so much seems to happen. So then
we will do our best to summarize the greatness of Troll 2.
And the parents are taking their kids, the son, the main character, who hallucinating his grandpa. His dead grandpa, by the way, who canonically is mentioned to be in hell, so that's a little concerning. And
we're not sure if we should trust the grandpa. It's deep storytelling, you see.
There's a lot of lore to this movie.
Stonehenge
is involved, but essentially, we have our two main characters, quote unquote. We have the son hallucinating his dead grandfather from hell, and we have another girl whose freckles are totally real. just a weird detail. I'm not even going to get into my theories about that. But
okay, so our family, our protagonist family, son, daughter, father, and mother, are on their way to exchange houses with a family in this small little town called Nilbog in the countryside. Nilbog, excuse me. In case you didn't realize, is goblin spelled backwards, so there's a great deal of subtlety to this movie.
You were at the funeral, and I know it was very difficult for you. It was also very difficult for your father, and for Holly, and for me, his daughter.
And the family, who may or may not be goblins, give our protagonist family a feast of green-related foods and drinks.
Essentially, it's a table full of pastries, except
They're all green in some way.
They all just have like green frosting on them, like that's generally what it is, and then there's some green liquid.
And our protagonists are more than happy to drink and eat this green substance.
They equate it. This was filmed here in Utah, by the way.
Oh yes.
But they equate it to essentially small town hospitality, which, and we'll get into this more later. Another bizarre thing about this meal and other green adjacent meals shown in the film is that, okay, so the whole point of the goblins is that they're basically vegetarians.
Okay. So the goblins feed people this green substance.
Yeah.
And this turns them into these like plant-human hybrids that they then eat. Now the thing is, this movie was made by a couple of Italian people, written and directed by Italians, and the whole thing is this has been like explicitly stated is an allegory for vegetarianism. The goblins who make people into plants and eat them are metaphors for vegetarians.
So essentially the villain in this movie is vegetarians.
Yeah.
And you know, it sounds crazy, but we have very good reason to believe that. Because
I mean, the writer literally said it. It's not like a thing you have to.
We do have very
about.
good reason to believe it because it was explicitly stated. But also, the hero of the movie is a double-decker bologna sandwich, which, might I add, the kid pulls out of his pants
Who knows
from his
how long he had
pockets,
it
from his
saving.
pants. Who knows? It was from under his waist, and he just pulls out the bologna sandwich. And it is.
And our vegetarian goblin monster people
appalled.
they are horrified at this. They all die on the spot upon seeing this. It's also like lightning, but it's more the bologna that kills them. Where were we? Oh yeah. So they're in the goblin town, and they eat, and Grandpa Seth shows up, and he's like, Joshua, I will stop time for 30 seconds, and you have 30 seconds to stop your family from eating the green stuff and becoming plants. But instead of like using those 30 seconds to throw it all out, he spends the first 29 just staring at his family
in disbelief from his grandpa,
and then
from hell making him do all the work to save his family.
And then he spends the last second peeing on the food. He didn't throw it out. He peed on it all over the whole thing to get them to not eat it.
Yeah.
And his dad carries him up into his bedroom, slams him onto the bed, and he starts to get his belt out. We're like, oh no, what's about to happen? He's like, I'm tightening my belt so I can't feel hunger pains.
Which, that no one does that. No one says that. Okay, a couple things. First thing, he did not have to pee on everyone's food. The first time Jen and I watched this, like a few months back, probably 6 or 7 months back, we were just completely, our jaws were agape. We were horrified about what we had just seen. Just the sheer jump in logic as a writer you would have to take for like, okay, this kid needs to stop his family from eating the food. He has 30 seconds to do it. What can we do? Okay, the kid could throw it out. The kid, maybe he's stupid, maybe he shoves it all in his mouth, maybe just a lapse of judgment. That would make more sense than him standing on the table saying, I have to do it, dropping trowel, and then peeing all over the family food, which leads into my second point. The fact that the green is essentially just green frosting on everything. The food looks like the most ultra-processed, disgusting clumps of food ever that I feel like would go against most naturalist or vegetarian principles. So this whole thing just feels like, the whole movie feels so uncanny, which is a segue that I like Jett to talk about, is the mother's acting.
Oh boy.
For me, his daughter.
Everyone in this movie takes their roles really seriously. They're really into it. But the mother in this movie, she is just like terrifying to witness. She just goes, her facial expressions are just so unnerving to witness. Anyways, meanwhile, while this is happening in the protagonist's family's house, a teenage kid is in an RV, and a bunch of them are in an RV by Nilgob. and he sees a person running in the forest from goblins with like she's like sweating green stuff.
Which is what they do when they're like transforming after they've taken their grain. They just start kind of melting and turning into grain, and plants start growing out of them.
And so he gets hit in this area by a goblin spear, and they like run to the first house they see, and they're like, "Please, can you help us?" But this evil witch lady is there, and she turns them both into plants with the most comically over-the-top acting in cinematic history,
leading to one of the most famous bad scenes in film history, which we will be showing right here.
They're eating her! And then they're going to eat me! Oh my god!
Another one of these teenagers is running down. He decides to go for a run, and he gets pulled over. Well, not really pulled over. A police guy pulls over by him. He's like, "Hey, we need to ride." And the kid says, "Sure." So he gets in, and he's like, "What's your name?" And the cop says, "I'm Gene Freak." His name is Gene Freak. Anyways, and he's like, here's a green sandwich. He hands him a green hamburger or something. And the kid is more than happy to eat the green sandwich.
It's literally it's green clay and green jello in between two really smashed together buns. Like, it looks like Gene Freak's been sitting on it for a while. And this is a bit of a stretch, but the initials for Gene Freak are GF, which are also most commonly, or second most commonly known as the initials for gluten free. which sounds like a bit of a stretch, but I think just judging by other mentalities displayed through this
I will never eat gluten free. I'm never getting GF.
You'd be a bad witch. There's so much. The more I mention stuff, the more I remember that we've glossed over, so it's going to be impossible to mention everything, which is why we can't do anything more than just recommending this ourselves. Like, absolutely go check this out. It's only like an hour and 36 minutes.
This is a seminal moment in the history of art.
It is.
Troll 2. Go watch it. Watch Troll 2.
Watch Troll 2. I'm feeling a 100.
I feel a 102 all of it. So I think you might be a little underestimating Troll 2.
Did you pack my green?